How's that? You like that one?
From every strand on the line of your reel, to the rods, to the anglers, to the lures on the end of your hook, let's talk about those big bass here on Co-Angler's Corner with your hosts, Rob Welch and John Stoudinger.
Good evening, everybody. I'm John.
Hi, y'all are. Cajun Rob here hanging out with you in parts unknown in the great north, where it's about 0 degrees.
I just want to let you know that we have Ken Ma on tonight. He's a prominent bass fisherman, mostly in the western part of the United States. Ken competes in various level formats, MLF, Toyotas, Wild Bass Trail, and the One Tournament. So I'm anxious to talk to him because we were talking a little bit before the show about the One Bass tournaments, and they have quite a unique format. But
absolutely.
Let's bring Ken up and talk to him a little bit about how he got started in the fishing and go from there.
Absolutely.
Good evening, sir.
Hey, John. How are you? Hey, Rob.
How's it going, buddy?
Thanks.
I'm fantastic. All out here in the warm West Coast.
And I'm in the warm Northeast.
I'm in the not so warm north. So y'all killing me.
But no, this is Mr. Ken Ma. He's a professional angler out west, one of the most recognized and accomplished anglers out west. So Ken, would you introduce yourself and just give a quick rundown of how you got into tournament fishing?
Yeah, I fish, pretty much all the Pro-Am level type events that we have out here. Up till next year, we had the MLF Toyota Series. We've had the National Guard out here. One Bass has been around a long time. And currently Bass Angler Magazine also has a Pro Tour and a Pro-Am out here. So I started fishing, I think, much like most people. If it wasn't for my dad and my uncles, we used to walk the banks, and I have fond memories of walking the banks on the Delta back when I was 5, 6 years old with my dad and my uncles. That's where it started. And back then it was, we fished for survival. So whatever we caught, we kept and we ate, and that's where it started for me. And then and that I did that just forever. I dunked bait, had minnows underneath bobbers, fished for bluegill, crappie. I mean, you name it. I fished for anything that swam that was fresh water. And then around 18, 19 years old, I had a friend of mine at high school, asked me if I've ever bass fished before. And I'm like, oh yeah, I bass fish all the time. I think, throwing a jumbo shiner or jumbo minnow underneath the bobber, that's bass fishing to me,
Yeah.
So I said, oh, I bass fish all the time. He goes, no, have you ever thrown any artificial lures or anything for bass? I go, now, why would I do that? And, he had a job at the Walmart sporting goods section and he brought back, my dad had a boat, a little 16-foot open bow Rhinell. Didn't have a trolling motor on it or anything. The Delta is a current waterway. So I put that boat and we just drifted with the current, and we threw a single Colorado Strike King. You guys will both remember they were $1.87 at Walmart. You remember that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Had a rubber skirt on it.
Yep.
And a single blade. And, I think the first day out just drifting around, I caught more bass than I ever caught floating a minnow. And I was literally hooked on going that direction, and that was at about 18 and a half, 19 years old.
Cool. That's good story, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I always encourage, like now I love seeing, parents now, we've gone through that phase where, there's soccer parents, there's basketball parents, there's football parents, there's everything, and now we're finally, at least out here. And I would say even back in the East, the high school, the youth movement,
Yep.
I would say is probably really taken hold here, maybe just in the last 6 or 7 years. I know it started before that,
Right.
but it just seems like it's such a big deal now. And our sport needs it. Our sport needs young people to enter the sport. We all know how expensive it is, just to get the basic equipment needed to fish. So the more young people that we can encourage, however we can, to get fishing, we all need to do that before, like this platform. Before this platform, I always say this: at some point, the three of us are going to become irrelevant.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
At least in the fishing, we'll still be relevant in life and to our families, but we're going to become less relevant in the fishing world. So while we have that relevancy, I think we should spend time and encourage young people to enter our sport.
Well, and it's amazing in Kentucky where I'm at, they got junior high teams now. They got junior high and high school. And then the tournaments there, high school tournament, there'll be 300 to 400 boats. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's crazy is there's 300 to 400 boats, and that's 600 students if it's a team tournament.
Yep.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, our stuff's not as big out here. I mean, in general, the tournament bass fishing scene is probably, I don't know if, just from my point of view, percentage wise, it's probably about 30% of what you guys experience, back there, but it still exists. There's still a lot of money. People are still buying $100,000 boats and, all this other stuff. And there's still kids that need some inspiration and motivation to come into our sport.
Oh, absolutely, man. Spot on.
Al with the American Angler Outdoors Network. Thank you, Al, for hosting our show. Says good evening. And Mark Blackstock says good evening, gents.
Thanks for being here.
All right.
Kevin McGimney says, what's up, Rob and John? Hey, Kevin with K&K Customs. So can you go, you explained a little bit to us about the one bass tournaments.
Uh-huh.
I think they got a little notoriety because of an angler got hit with a seagull in the face last year.
Yeah, Beehite got hit with the diving seagull.
And a lot of people in the East Coast learn a little bit more about the one bass tournament because of that. Can you explain how that works for us?
Yeah, so we have shared and non-shared weight tournaments out west, and to my knowledge, the shared weight format in a pro-am, organization that originated out here. I believe that a guy named like Larry Viviano with West Coast Bass way back in the 80s came up with that concept where a pro and a co would be drawn and then they would fish together as a team.
Okay.
And One Bass was around during that time. One Bass has been here for decades. It's an organization that isn't going anywhere. It's had its, since I fished, it's had its, its ups, its downs, and currently ups. It's a very consistent organization. Billy Egan is the face of that organization. And, he just does a tremendous job with attracting anglers to come fish his events. So just to tell people, it's basically a shared weight 3-day, people call it a team tournament. So I'll just use 100 as a number. Let's say you get 100 pros and you get 100 co-anglers that sign up for this one event. Okay. What will happen is each day a pro will draw a different co-angler, and then each co will draw a different pro. So you essentially, as a co-angler, you would get 3 different days with 3 different pros on the same body of water. And then whatever those 2 anglers catch that day, they carry that weight with them. So, and then at the end of the event, the co-angler, let's say, catches 20 pounds, 15 and 15. At the end of the tournament, they'll have 50 pounds.
Right.
And if 50 pounds is the highest weight on the co-angler side, that person will be declared the champion. So that's how it works. And the pros wait, so for me, whatever I get each day sticks to me, so at the end of the tournament, if I have 50 pounds, and wherever place that ends up in the total cumulative weight, that's what place I'm in.
Cool.
So, yeah, I mean, he, a lot of great prizes, he's sponsored by a lot of great companies, like, first place other than US Open, right? The US Open is, in my opinion, I would say it's probably the second biggest tournament in the nation.
Oh yeah.
Prestige wise. And, again, I mean, it's been at Mojave the last few years because of the water level at Mead. But when it was at Mead, it was just, it was just a accumulation of all the most special things. Mead's a tough fishery. It's a desert fishery, but it's close to Vegas. So when you have that kind of draw, like people like you, like from Kentucky or New York, it's kind of one of those bucket lists. Well, yeah, you get to go to Vegas. Maybe you bring, the girlfriend or the wife, you turn it into a vacation, and you get to fish one of the most prestigious events, either as a co or a pro, that's in the entire nation. Obviously for me, I would only put the Bassmaster Classic above that, and then when the FLW Cup was here, I would have put that probably above the US Open. But after that, there's really not, another type of event of that prestige and magnitude that we have anywhere in the nation.
Absolutely. I remember when, John Murray and Aaron Martins was on top of their game and they was in it. I remember that. I got my attention. I was like, man, them big hitters is up there. So,
you look at the history, you look at the names that have their names in the history of the US Open.
Yep.
And they're, it's a who's who, of bass fishing across the nation. People that have won that historically. It's not just a Western based accomplishment there. They're like, even currently, there's a lot of back, what I would say back east, so Texas east anglers that are traveling. Spencer Sheffield has come to it a few times. Gary Klein has come back to it. I think there's some anglers like that want to add that notch to their belt, so to speak, to be able to check that off, that they have accomplished that.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. Nick Dame has a question for you.
Yeah.
He says he's hunting a California Delta trip. What's your recommendation on baits for the Delta?
Well, if he's talking about right now, and I hopefully not, I grew up fishing the Cal Delta. I mean, it's one of the most amazing places. I think, where I live, I'm about 45 minutes to the Delta, and I'm about an hour and 45 minutes to Clear Lake. And in my opinion, those are two of the best fisheries, in the world. So, but the Delta I would say from about November 15th to February 15th for bass, it's probably one of the worst fisheries you could go to fish. Those Floridas, they don't like all that cold.
No.
It's, for the most part, the Delta is a shallow grass fishery. I would say in the areas where we're fishing for bass, the average depth is probably 6 to 9 feet, 9 being deep. Now there's other parts, down the main channel and things where the Delta will be, 40, 50 feet deep, because it does get commercial shipping that comes through there. But in the backwaters and the places we fish, I'd say, the average depth is in that, 8 to 9 foot range. And, the water gets cold this time of year. It's, like right now, the water temps are probably in the 50s. and or low 50s, and it's going the other direction. It's not like the spring where it's going this way.
Right.
It's going this way. And those Floridas is, it doesn't matter where Florida lives. Floridas don't like cold water. So I would hope that Nick is not looking to catch bass in December there. I would say go somewhere else. But coming like usually around that mid-February, you can catch lifetime bags on the Delta. I'm talking, 30, 35 pound bag fish starting around that mid-February point. So for me, because of the way the fishery is, it's the baits initially are very simple. A square bill crankbait, a chatterbait catches big ones. And then, there's a lot of flipping, pitching, and punching that happens on the Delta. You can catch them a bunch of different ways. You can catch them power shot, and you can catch them on topwater. It's a great frog topwater fishery. But I would just say, for me, between that kind of mid-November to mid-February, there's a lot more better places to go, within the same drive as we can go to the Delta. But now this time of year, the Delta is a great striper fishery. There's a lot of stripers coming in from the bay, and you can flat out catch 40, 50 stripers. Most of the nice ones now are kind of up to that 8 to 10 pound range.
Okay.
But you could literally catch 40, 50 fish between 4 and 8 pounds.
Cool.
On bass gear.
Not bad.
Nicholas Beltran says, "Hope I'll be able to fly over that way and fish."
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would tell people, it's a bucket list. It's like me thinking about Lake Fork, St. John's River, Okeechobee, all these, just all these historic places that, when you're on that side where you all live, you hear about the Delta and you hear about Clear Lake, right? That's what you hear about, and in Clear Lake, like right now, it's every fishery cycles, unfortunately, and I don't want to get into politics, but unfortunately, California fish and wildlife don't handle our fisheries the way that the Texas wildlife does, but Clear Lake is on the upswing. I mean, there was just a recent team tournament there, and it took 35 pounds for 5 fish, like just 5 days ago in December. Took 35 pounds. There were 2 fish. I think there was 1 fish over 10, and there was another one that was like a 989 weighed in December.
Man.
So I see Nick's question: is it true Clear Lake holds big spots? I don't think there are any spots in there. I've never caught one. I've never heard of anybody catching a spotted bass out of there. There are smallmouth bass in there, but they're kind of like unicorns. People have caught them in tournaments. Usually the ones that they weigh in at least are in that touching that 4 pound range. But there are some humongous largemouth bass in there. I mean, you can go there and I would say from like July through about November.
Okay.
I mean, you could go there and catch 25 to 30 4 pound plus fish in a day.
Wow.
Yeah, it's that kind of fishery, and there's some great guides there, so people that want to fly over, you can DM me or, and I'll send you to, I know John Pearl's a really good guide there, Paul Bailey, there's a lot of really good guides. If somebody wanted to fly out and make a vacation, because you could literally fly into Sacramento from Sacramento Airport, you could rent a car and you could drive to Clear Lake in about an hour and a half. And then from that same point, you can drive an hour to the Delta, so somebody could literally fly out, let's say take a 5-day vacation. You can take 2 days and go to Clear Lake, and then you can take the other 2 days and go to the Delta. And, for a price of a flight and, some guide trips, you could literally have a trip of a lifetime if you're into that.
Wow.
Nick Dame says, "Come see me at the St. John's."
Okay.
So-
Yeah. I mean,
so-
I've seen it. I mean, I've seen it. It looks like my kind of fishing.
Yeah.
You know, so, but yeah, there's some places where I guess if I ever got back there, there'd be some places that I'd want to visit.
Sound like he's trying to trade trips.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, he's a guide on St. John, so he knows
Okay.
that area well. So yeah, he's good
Okay.
on that.
Yeah.
So,
So-
what tournament do you look forward to the most
You know, it's
outside of
funny.
championships?
I'm gonna tell you, it's funny. You know, when you fish a lot of these pro-ams and you're traveling, even regionally, right?
Yeah.
You know, like I'll travel as far as Havasu. You know, I drove down Lake Martinez, which, just to give people perspective, that's about a 10 to 12 hour drive towing a boat. You know, and then when I go north to like the Oregon or Washington, the Columbia River, it's about another 10 or 12 hour drive. So for me in my career, that's my fishing wise, that's kind of what I like doing. You know, going back east and traveling and doing that is not something that I've ever really been interested in pursuing. So I want to fish at the highest level that I can fish at while still staying at home.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, to answer your question, when you fish at whatever that level is that anybody chooses to fish at, right? There's days where it's a grind.
Oh yeah.
It's a grind to get up, 6-7 days in a row at 4 o'clock and then fish till dark. I always call it's a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
It is.
But when you enjoy it, it doesn't feel like work, like we're going to work.
Yeah.
Right. But it's a lot of work, so people think that that fishing is not a lot of work. It's a great deal of work. It's a huge grind on your body. And then mentally, you have bad tournaments and then you got to leave that tournament to go to another tournament. I always say, being a good tournament angler, one of the traits of being a great tournament angler is having a short-term memory sometimes.
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So for me, some of the funnest trips, and I don't want to sound cliche here, but I like taking I got a nephew that's 17 that is really hooked on fishing. I enjoy those types of trips.
Yeah.
And then the local team, the one-day team stuff that I don't get to fish very much anymore. But getting in a boat with my team partner, Jason, and, just going out there and just having fun, where it's not always oh gosh, I got to perform. I got to this, I got to that type of deal. I have fun doing the fun stuff.
Oh yeah.
But don't get me wrong. I mean, I always tell people, the one thing about bass fishing is you can never, ever forget to have fun, because when you're not having fun, I'm going to tell you your results are probably poor.
Yeah.
If you're not having fun. So,
Yep.
And there are times we lose that, you get in the
Yep.
grind, you get into a rut and you forget to have fun. So, but fishing those bigger tournaments, there's just, it's not, I don't want to call it pressure because there's not really pressure in fishing, but you get into that, if you don't make top 10s, you didn't do good. And that sometimes sucks the fun out of, you could have caught 50 of them a day in a tournament and you don't even think about that because you finished 11th and you missed the cut by half a pound. And all you're thinking about is that one fish you lost.
Yep.
Especially when you drive 12 hours one way.
Ooh,
Yeah.
It gives you a lot of time to think on the way back.
too much.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, although I want to encourage people, if people have never, ever tried to fish a tournament, try it. I think for most of us, especially once you graduate from college or if you graduate only from high school, that's the last time you're really going to get into something that is really competitive. Yep. That really pushes your, anytime you take, a group of people, period, but you take some men and you put some money on the line, it just changes how we look at things.
Oh,
And I don't mean it doesn't need to be a bunch of money. It could be $1. I always say that. I don't care if the three of us are fishing and it's for lunch. I want to win.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Or bragging rights. Bragging rights is big.
Yeah, I want to win. I want to eat my lunch in front of you guys and enjoy it.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where, like, because I'm a co-angler, the boater and I'll, do 3 bets. First fish, biggest fish, and most weight.
That's cool.
So it's within the boat, it's fun and stuff like that. I mean, $3 isn't going to buy $1 or a gallon of gas anywhere.
Yep.
It's bragging rights.
Yeah, for sure.
Nick Dame says it's a deal about the swapping trips.
Oh yeah. There you go.
But what's your favorite way to catch them?
I grew up fishing the Cal Delta. So by nature, I am a shallow water, big line power fisherman. So anytime that I'm cranking something, regardless of what it is, and then obviously, I've won a lot of money in a lot of big tournaments on a flipping stick.
Yep.
So I would say that I always talk bad about a spinning rod. I really do. Because that's like my break glass in case of emergency deal. It's like, but obviously, with forward facing, now, having a minnow or something like that on the deck, you got to be opportunistic with that stuff. I embrace all of that. I don't, like my boat this year. I get a new boat every year, and this year, I decided to put a 16 Lowrance Pro on the front because the resolution in the screen pixel is it's much higher than the 12 is. So I'm one of those persons where, look, I'm going to use every resource and everything I can within what's legally acceptable.
Right.
And I'm going to learn how to use that to the best of my ability. And on the days that I don't need it, I turn it off and I don't use it. Like I won the Toyota Series earlier this year in March on Clear Lake. Yep. And I was in a boat that did not even have a forward-facing transducer, or I had 2 graphs on it, flush mounted 16 and a flush mounted 12 on the front. And I basically flipped a 1 ounce black and blue jig with the black and blue trailer for 3 days. I threw a couple other things, but that's primarily how I won that event. And I really, even my regular graph, that told, I kept it on because I wanted to. It was early in the spring, so water temperature was key. Once the water temperature rose in the afternoon and got to that temperature, once I saw it reach that water temperature, I would turn my graph off. And then because I didn't want to, I was fishing in an area, it was pretty sizable, but from end to end, it was probably 300-400 yards. And I just didn't want my transducer in that 8 to 9 foot water to just be pinging. Every time I go back and forth, you're pinging those fish,
right?
And they can feel that. So I really went into stealth mode to win that event. But yeah, mostly anytime I don't care what lake I go to, I could see 20 feet to the bottom in some of the lakes. I'm still going to try to catch them shallow. I'm going to still try to catch them on power or reaction baits or topwater baits first, and then, I always say this, let's say a practice period is, 2.5 or 3 days long. I'll go to 2 days throwing a reaction bait and not catch any before I say, okay, I better go try and do something else because I don't want to blank.
Yeah.
But and that's done a lot of great things for me, being stubborn and being going after reaction fish. I've won, my share of major events out here, but I always tell people, you also got to accept finishing 90th or 100th sometimes because that's what happens. and it's not that, I don't like using that cliche, you're always swinging for the fences, because I think a lot of people don't do that. They say they're doing it, but they're not,
Right.
But, I think the number one thing for anybody is you have to fish your strengths first. I don't care what that is, like, I don't know, you guys heard or know of Greg Gutierrez?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, double G. So Greg, me and Greg are really good friends, and we're like the anti-hero of each other. Now, Greg can do a lot of other things, don't get me wrong, but we're the anti-hero of each other. And what I mean by that is, he's won a lot of events on light line and an egg beater. That's what I call a spinner rod.
Yep.
I always see him. I go, man, are you throwing an egg beater? And he smile. I am, Kenny.
That frenzy nail he's got is awesome. I got some of his frenzy nail shaky heads.
I am not a shaky head fisherman, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I fought that frenzy nail for a long time, and I got some last year, and I didn't realize how good a hook and setup that thing is.
And it goes through rock and a bunch of different stuff. It's awesome.
It really does, But using Greg as an example, he's won made a career out of throwing a spinning rod. I mean, he does other things also.
Yes.
But and he always tells me, he goes, man, I always tell people, man, if you would just pick up a spinning rod every once in a while, you would be unstoppable. And you know what I tell him? I say, Greg, I'd rather finish 90th. What I say earlier about you have to do who you are first, right?
Yep.
That's what you have to do first. Don't show up somewhere that you've never been. You do a bunch of research and this. Don't show up somewhere and try to be Greg Gutierrez.
Yeah.
If you're not, you got to show up somewhere and be you first. And then if you doesn't work, then try other things. I think that's really important for anglers. They're, and there's just there's so much information gathering, and and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this lake, they eat a drop shot here, I'm going to throw a drop shot, and then you're drop shotting for the first day and a half, and the tournament ends up getting one on a swim bait, which you love doing.
Yep.
Yeah. And Dan Hernandez says bragging rights and a trophy. That's what you're fishing for.
Oh yeah. No, that's Dan's actually the trophy maker. So
okay.
Oh, that's why. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, he's actually made a lot of tremendous trophies out here. I think maybe he'll put it in the comments, but it's Dan Hernandez Laser Art and Engraving.
Okay,
cool.
So he's done kayak stuff, big boat stuff, does awards, all that stuff. So I don't know if you guys have listeners or anything like that. You guys can always look him up on social media, and he can do a lot of that stuff. Really nice stuff. See something?
Do you? I was about to say, do you say, hey, I'm going to fish the Delta. Can you just give me this trophy?
Yeah. So
Tim Stacker says, from my perspective, Ken is an outstanding ambassador for the sport and an example of how to conduct yourself on and off the water that everyone should strive for.
I thank you, because I think that's the most important thing to me. I have been blessed. I've won, 11 majors, meaning pro-am multi-day events in my region. And, it's just, that part of it has been great, but I always tell people, I strive to be who my parents raised me to be every day. I don't always meet that standard. And just like I talked to both of you when the show started, I think that we are obligated to use whatever platform it is, whether you have a couple 100,000 followers or you have 1,000 followers.
Yep.
If you can encourage, uplift, and motivate more people to just go fishing. I I'm a competitive fisherman, so I like to push people into competition.
Yep.
But just going fishing period is fine. But I try to push people and encourage people, to do that, because the more people we have fishing, the more healthy our industry is, the more money and GDP is being generated, right? The more engines get sold, the more rods, reels, bait, tackle, everything, right? And really, what can you do that you can enjoy the outdoors more than standing on the bank, being on the kayak, or being on a boat, with a stranger.
Yep.
I've drawn some co-anglers in tournaments that have become lifelong friends.
Yep.
I know Forrest Wood used to say there's nothing more common than sharing a deck of a boat with somebody.
Oh, absolutely.
And Dan Hernandez says you are correct. Daniel Hernandez, laser art and engraving.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Rob, you got any questions?
No, I guess like when you first started out, did you go to co-angler route, or you just went straight to being a boater?
Oh gosh, I was really young, so I did fish I fished 2 co-angler deals back when I was like 19.
Yep.
And I realized early on that it was not for me.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I just I started off fishing teams. I probably fished teams too long. I tell people that all the time. Team fishing's fun. And team fishing out here is not like it is back there, because there's some one-day team tournaments back there where you can win a boat.
Oh yeah.
There's 300, 400, 500 teams sometimes that enter those events. A big team tournament out here historically would be about 90 to maybe 140 teams.
Right.
Currently, our team market out here is, it leaves some to be desired. What's offered out here. Most of the circuits are drawing, 30, 40 teams. And, obviously, as you well know, you get 30, 40 teams, and, it's the same teams, and they're shuffling the money around while everybody else is, paying their winnings.
Yep.
But I always tell people, whatever it is, wherever it is that you want to fish, go fish.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Period. Just go fish. Learn. I say that all the time. I have a young angler who. So Bass Angler Magazine. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Mark Lassane owns Bass Angler Magazine, and he recently raised a tournament trail. Started in 2024. He does pro-ams, non-shared weight. He does a pro tour. Where there's like a 31-day off limits. There's 31-day no info. There's no practice. You show up on Thursday. They ring the bell Friday. Top 10 fishes Friday, Saturday. The whole field fishes Friday, Saturday. Top 10 advance to Sunday. Weight 0. And in 2025, first place is going to be $50,000 cash money.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's some opportunities that are happening between BAM and One Bass out here, but whatever that is, if it's team fishing, then, go fish teams, but I would tell people, if you're, don't get stuck somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. Because I always believe and always think that, when you're comfortable in life, you're probably not learning or advancing.
Right.
So you have to be a little uncomfortable, so if you're sitting in a team circuit and you're just comfortable, kind of going through the motions, and you do good here and there, I would say, maybe try a pro-am, or fish as a co-angler in a pro-am if you're fishing teams, and learn in that pro-am format, and then maybe you can come back to your team and reapply whether it's new techniques, new ways to attack or look at the water. I think the worst thing that people can do is you get into a team or any environment, you get comfortable, and you're not learning.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the worst things that you can get into. So if you're able to find ways to fish with people, I think that if you're the best person in your group, you're in the wrong group.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right. So it doesn't mean you can't stay in that group, but you need to find another group to get into.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They used to upset me when I was growing up because my brother, I was like 7, 8, 9 years old. And he's like, no, you don't want to play with your friends. You play with people that are 12, 13.
That are older than you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think that applies to everything in life. I think that if you're, I always, when I do local seminars here, I go to a club, right?
Yep.
And I said, look, there's somebody in this room. I don't know who they are. I said, there's somebody in this room that pretty much dominates this club. Okay. Meaning they're winning the majority of the tournaments. And when they're not winning, they're getting the majority of the checks. I said, I'm not saying for you not to stay here and have fun with your friends, but you need to move to the next level and to get uncomfortable, because then that's actually going to make that person better.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, that's, Rob, for me, that's what I hope the message is, that like the person said, I take my torch bearing responsibilities in the West very seriously. I know that I've said this before on social media. I know my time as its caretaker is limited, right? Because no one carries the torch forever.
Nope.
So I'm thankful for that opportunity, and I want to encourage people to fish. I'm not into, nowadays, I just always say this too, putting a smartphone in people's hands have really exposed a lot of dumb people.
Yep.
Having a smartphone in your hand doesn't mean that you have to voice your opinion about every little thing every time something comes across. You don't like it, keep scrolling. Go do something else. Spend your time. I'm not changing you through my phone, and you're not changing me through my phone. That's not happening.
Yep. Exactly.
I'm not going to say anything about Randy Blockett, but anyways, Mike Marino says you're a West Coast legend.
Oh, Mike, I know Mike and Deanna. I don't know if you guys know Mike and Deanna, longtime Toyota Series anglers. Deanna just actually won a historic co-angler event on the Delta this year, where there were two ladies that were first and second, her and Rachel Uribe.
Yes.
And
we had Deanna on.
Yep.
After she won that.
Yeah.
Great guess. Great guess.
Oh,
sharp.
Tremendous people. Unfortunately, we lost them because they moved back east. Good for them. But bad for our region, because they were just two great stalwarts of our industry, just always dressed right, said the right things, fished the right way, did, just great people for sure, So, but they're going to do that back there, where they moved as well.
Absolutely.
But, definitely. Yeah. I do have another question for you though. What's your favorite homemade cookie?
I would say just straight chocolate chip.
There you go. Can't beat that.
And here's your fun fact. If you did not get this out of her, one of the best bakers that maybe ever, that's also a fisherman, is Deanna.
Oh.
So if you ever have her on again, or Mike, so we used to go to these we used to go to the boat shows.
Yep.
And, Mike would come and, we'd be in the same booth and stuff. And he would bring, like every day, he would bring a pan of something.
Yeah.
And one day and then I always say this in my fat kid days, he brought this pan of brownies that had this like raspberry. It was hard. Yep. It's hard to explain. It had this raspberry like veins through it. I think I ate half the pan in the booth. I had it on my mouth, my hands, but every day he would come with something that Deanna baked. And she's a baker. If she wants to stop fishing, she could definitely open a sweet shop.
Tricia Payne McGraw with Fish Her. Welcome. Don't get your hopes up, Ken. I'm still waiting on my cookies.
Oh,
from Deanna? Is she waiting
My
for
wife's a
Deanna?
baker as well, and that's why I asked that question.
Okay.
But yeah, she's usually when I go to a tournament, I'll have a dozen cookies that are probably, I don't know, that big, about as big as your face,
Yeah.
and I'll share them with my boater and stuff like that. But
Are you a chocolate chip fan?
Sugar cookie, chocolate chip.
I'm same way. Yep, that's my two go-tos.
Yeah, sugar cookies. I would. That's probably second for me.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and a good oatmeal's not bad either. So
Okay.
I don't know. I'm a cookie monster. So I think if you brought
There you
12,
go.
if you bought 12
So-
cookies, you'd probably be missing 6 of them before you got to pass them out, and your pinky might be gone if you're holding on to one of them.
She said she'll get some cookies at Erie this year.
Yeah,
But
I'd
no,
say she
we
probably
like to
will.
give. I appreciate you coming on, talking to us, tell us a little bit about the West Coast fishing and some of the tournament series that are out there. So we like to give you ample time to talk about your sponsors, people who've helped you along the way. So take it away.
Yeah, I want to thank you for your time and your platform. You had some, great listeners, giving some great comments. And, for me, I have a bunch of great supporters, people, if you want to follow me, it's at Ken Ma Promotions on Facebook and Instagram. I have a website also, kenma.net. You can reach out to me, if you ever come out west or you just need information, you got, somebody's traveling out here. I don't guide, but I know a lot of the prominent guides that are out here. So if that's something that you want to do and, you want to reach out and ask questions and things like that. I like to help people.
Yeah.
That's kind of my way of kind of giving back. I always say that this sport has given me so much. I worked almost 30 years in law enforcement and I retired. So, when I was working, it's a pretty high stress environment. Fishing gave me a out and a release to do those things when I took time off. So, to a sport that has truly given me so much, that's why, the comment about me being a great ambassador, when you like to help people and you do things just out of the kindness of your heart and you're genuine, people see that.
Oh, yeah.
Companies see it, anglers see it, your peers see it. I think that's one of the biggest compliments is when your peers, you can fool people, but you can't fool your peers. It's like your coworkers, right? You can fool the boss at work, right? But you can't fool your partner who's in the truck with you or who's in the office with you or sitting across from you. You can't fool that person. That person knows who you are and what you're about.
Absolutely.
So to gain the respect of my peers and things like that, I think that's of all the accomplishments, one of the biggest accomplishments that I've achieved in my fishing career. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to sit here and rattle off sponsors. I mean, I have great relationships over the years, and all those products are listed on my website. If you have a question about any of those, I run a Vexus and a Mercury and Lowrance and Power Poles, so if you have any questions or you're thinking about spending your hard-earned money on any of that kind of stuff, reach out. I'll shoot you straight. I used to be with Ranger for a long time. I had a person recently reach out to me, owns a Ranger. I run a Vexus, and he told me everything he was looking for in a boat and was thinking about buying a Vexus. And, the things that he was looking for was that, we weren't the boat for him.
Yeah.
So, and I told him that. I'm like, hey, look, I mean, I'll help you if this is what you want, but based on what you're telling me, this is not what you want.
Yep.
And I think being genuine and honest with people, goes a lot further than me pushing somebody into something they don't want. They end up buying it. They spend $120,000, $30,000, $40,000 on it, and they're not happy with it.
Yep.
Yes.
Right. I mean, that's where did we get? Nowhere. You got one sale and somebody who's upset who's ended up going to buy something else different anyways.
Yep.
And bad news travels faster than good news.
It absolutely does. Yeah. Something bad happens to you, tell 10 people. Something good happens to you, you might not tell anybody.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. So,
Yeah.
All right, sir. Well, we'll let you go. I know your time is valuable, as well as everybody else who's watching us and everything like that. But again, I want to thank you for coming on. I've watched you through Bass Angler Magazine and a couple other magazines that you've been in, and saw some shows and YouTube and all this other stuff. But I wanted to get you on and talk to you about the West. So I appreciate you doing that for us.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
you take
And
care.
thank you for your service to the community. Thank you for your dedication to the community. Keep it a safe place. So thank you for that also.
Yeah, for sure. So last thing I want to say is just fish, fish, fish. Don't ever, ever think that you have tomorrow or next year, because, life is finite, and the last thing you want to do, any of us want to do, is be old and have regret.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're going to get old.
Oh yeah, quick.
Yeah, there's no stopping that.
No.
I'm already there.
Yeah, there's no stopping us getting old, but there is stopping you from having regret.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, take advantage of the life opportunities, and and it's okay to work hard, but you also gotta take some of that work and reward yourself or your family with some of that work.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right, Ken. Thank you very much. Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Keep up the good work, and many successes your way.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, buddy. Have a good one.
Yep.
Right,
bye-bye.
Rad, great guest, man. He hit
the
nail on the head. Great guest.
Ken's a terrific man. So
absolutely, he's spot on. Everything he said, man, spot on.
Yeah. Passing on is the main thing.
And like I said, fishing with his nephew, creating memories. I mean, that's priceless for him, for nephew and him. So absolutely spot on.
I've learned in the last couple of years, it's not how much time you have, it's what you do with the time you have.
Yeah, quality. Gotta get quality time in. Yep.
Yeah. And each breath is precious.
Yeah, it is.
I've had my share of adversity in the last couple of years.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think I've had enough for everybody, but hey, we're still going.
Absolutely. And he is spot on. I mean, life is short, so go enjoy it. I mean, go, as our old friend Jay says, hey, go fish this weekend. Enjoy a good fishing trip this weekend. So go wet your line this weekend. So
there you go.
Absolutely spot on. But we had a great week, brother. Great guest, man. You knock it out of the park every time with the guests. So great job.
Appreciate it.
And Ken's got me wanting to go to the West Coast now. So good job, Ken. I
think we might have set up a trip.
Yeah, sounds
between last night's guest, Nick Dame, and tonight's guest, Ken Ma.
That'd be pretty awesome.
It would be. I'd like to hear a report on that too.
Absolutely.
But hey, you Trisha McGraw, if you're still watching, Rob is sweating where he's at. So he's looking for that bikini.
It had to be fur lined or I don't know, something. So it's 0 here now, and with wind chill it's like -9, I think. So I'm a few miles north of Kentucky, let's just say.
All right, everybody. Well, hey, y'all take care. Have a great week. Be safe if you're out fishing. Enjoy it. Don't get too wrapped up in the tournaments.
Yep. And
in your head, just go have fun.
Absolutely. And thanks for everybody for subscribing and give us some likes, man. We really appreciate it. And I said, go out there and go fish this weekend if you can, if it ain't frozen over. And tune in next week. We'll have some more great guests, and love for you to tune in. So appreciate y'all.
All right.
Peace out.